Okay, I want to say hello again, everybody. It's me, Wushu Richard, or Richard Clark, and I'd like to welcome you to something different today, a different video. As you can see, I've got some software on my computer here. This is FL Studio. It was previously known as Fruity Loops. I believe that's the original name of it. But I've got a version of this on my computer here, and this software is for creating music. And recently I've had some interest. I've had some people asking me to make some tutorial videos on making music, to which I've agreed to, and I'm very happy to do so, because I want to say I'm very, very happy and very grateful to anyone who watches my videos and enjoys everything I do. So that if you enjoy my martial art videos, if you enjoy my art and animation I do, which is what I really love to do, my animation. If you really enjoy my music that I make, the different kinds of music, because I make a variety of different kinds of music, I'm really, really grateful to you. Okay, but it's like, if you like something, you do. If you don't like something, you don't. That's how it is. Now, what I want to say, okay, is something here. This software, FL Studio, is like great in my opinion for making music, and there are different softwares out there too that you can use for making music digitally. And I can't play any musical instruments. I did do a couple of drum lessons when I was in school years ago, but I've always had a natural knack for music and rhythm and melody and tune. And over the years, I've just I've just found more, beauty, I guess, in all different forms of music, art forms. But I do have my favourite kinds of music as such. But not even that, even saying that is kind of wrong, because it depends on the song for me. It's like, I used to always say that I hate, classical music, so boring, back in the day, years ago. But when you watch movies and stuff, or when you listen to a nice piece of classical music, and you hear the music, it really is atmospheric. So that's wrong to say that. Again, I always talk about my love for rap music and hip hop and rap. I love that, but it's like anything. It doesn't matter if it's rock or rap or whatever kind of music. If it's sometimes it can be the message. If there's a positive message in the lyrics, I like it. If it's negative, not really. And it's the same for a lot of different music. I like a lot of the 80s music. I like a lot of the 80s, 1980s electronic, the Italo disco and funk, 80s synthesizer music, and they got all these different genres, like synth wave and things like that. And I love all of that because I grew up in the 80s, and I love that time period. I love the music, the atmosphere, and I really feel that was the golden age. The 80s was the golden age for that kind of music, but for a lot of creativity, for music, movie making, storytelling. It was just a great time. People were so I don't want to use the word simple in a negative way, but simple in a positive way. People were very straight to the point, and it was and they were very more genuine, I'd say. So technology, we have technology, and it's here. I'm not trying to take you on a history course here, okay? We're gonna get on with this, okay? But I'm just saying that this is something important. It's I want to say, when I create, I just create from what inspires me and what I like, in my own way. And I've got a lot of I don't want to boast and say I'm gifted, but I do feel gifted in a way. I have this knack, for music or for visual, learning a language or learning martial arts or physical activity. I'm not the most strongest person, but I've always had the knack for learning, mimicking, and learning accents and languages, visual art. So I'm not saying I can do everything, but I'm saying I've had this knack for I've got the visual I'm able to take something that interests me and learn some of that and create in my own way. But what I want to say is, creating music is the same as creating art or anything, or filmmaking. You can be an expert at, technology. You can be an expert with your tools, but the tools don't make the thing. You have to have something on the inside. You can teach somebody how to hold a camera, how to set up a stage, but you can't necessarily say that they're going to make the best stage show on a theatre or a movie or a TV show or a cartoon or a piece of music or a birthday cake if they're cooking, chefs or whatever. No, the point is, the main thing is, you've got to have something in you. You've got to have some visual. You've got to literally feel something. You've got to be inspired by life, and from what you've seen around you and in other various artists and stuff. Where do you draw your inspiration, and what and the characteristics of what you do? It's going to be your original. You do your own original stuff, but it's going to come from somewhere. So you teach someone the basic notes of playing a piano, the basic how to make a tune on a piano or the rhythm on drums, but how that person expresses that and creates their own music is down to them. So I've had it said before to me. I've had it said before where I've had somebody ask me, like someone said to me about one of my pictures, one of my digital drawings or paintings that I uploaded on an app on a phone, and someone asked me. They said, oh, how did you do that? Did you use Photoshop? And this person, whether they're into art or not, I don't know. But some people know, because Photoshop's probably the most, or to some people it's the only known editing software, and it's mostly known for editing photos and stuff. It's a simple thing. You put a few effects on and edit a photo. But to actually make digital artwork, it's amazing. And I use various different softwares. As I say, I don't only use Fire Alpaca. I use different art softwares. But anyway, this person, somebody saw one of my paintings, one of my pictures, and they said, "Oh, what did you use? Photoshop?" And I said, "Actually, yes, because I did for that particular picture. I don't always use it, but I used it for that one as well. And I used Photoshop to draw and paint a picture." And I said, "Yeah, I did do that in Photoshop, but I use a lot of different softwares." And they said, "Okay, very good, thumbs up," or something. But it was okay, it was nice, but it was kind of sad to see this modern day generation, like the modern day now, people, like everything's so accessible, technology is fantastic. I'm not going to complain about it like some people, but what I'm saying is a lot of people don't realise that they think that, oh, you have this tool, and okay, if I get that tool and press a few buttons, I'll be able to produce, the next, fucking Picasso or Mozart, excuse my language, you know what I'm trying to say. That's not the case. You can put a photo in, you can slap a few effects on, but if you're talking about creating art and drawing and painting, you've got to have a visual in your mind. If you're going to create a computer game from scratch, if you're going to create a movie, you've got to have some kind of story you want to tell, and you've got to see that visual in your mind. Before you do that, you've got to be inspired by life, and that can take a whole life, years of experience in life situations and meeting different people and learn about personalities and understanding so many things about real life before you can actually have a true visual solid in your mind that you can then generate and express out through and use this tool to express that idea. A tool is there to express the idea. If you've got no idea, it doesn't matter how good your tools are if you have nothing to express. So please, I want to say excuse me for my long introduction here, but this is pretty important stuff. You can't just literally say, here's a tool, because if you was to put that tool or that piece of software in front of somebody else, or that tool, here's a pencil and paper, it's the same thing. You say to someone, you show someone a picture you've drawn, and you say, how did you do, and the person asks you, how did you draw that picture? Did you use pencil and paper? And you say, yes. And you give the pencil and paper to them, a piece of paper, and say, okay, you do one now. They won't have a fucking clue. Not only have they not practiced moving their hand and drawing a picture for anything other than anything else, but it's like they don't even have a visual. They're like sitting there with no idea. And you can be someone very skilled, and sometimes you may have no idea. I mean, sometimes I sit here with no idea when I'm trying to work things out. But it's if you have that visual and you have that look, that view for life, that's a different thing, So you've got to have skill in wielding a tool, like wielding a sword, right, or a tennis racket, right? And you've got to, you've got to have a vision of what you want to create. Because if you don't, you can know how to drive a car or fire a gun, but if you don't know where you're going, or if you don't focus, you're going to have an accident. You're going to not know what you're doing and why you're doing it and what for. So it's not about downloading softwares or apps and things and just being up to date with what's supposedly hip or what someone's used to do this and that. Some people have created the most amazing works of art or done incredible things or life-saving situations they've overcome just with the most limited primitive tools. I'm not trying to give you that one again. I'm not trying to say that that's the way to go in life, because sometimes there are benefits from having better technology and certain things, sometimes, but it's like you must have that human factor. That is what I'm trying to say. We're human beings and we must see what we're trying to create. Alright, so the first thing I want to say here then, let's get on with this. I want to basically say that this is a piece of software called called FL Studio, okay, formerly known as Fruity Loops. Please excuse me for saying Fire. Recently I made some tutorials on Fire Alpaca, which is an amazing art software. But today we're looking at music, and I will make some simple tutorial videos, okay, for you guys on how I make music. Now I want to say something, okay. I can only show you the ways that I use certain software, so I can only show you the ways I use various aspects of some of these softwares, including this software, are filled with lots and lots of different features and effects and all kinds of stuff. So it would take a long time to cover everything, and I'm by far, I'm not so knowledgeable about this software. But seeing as I've had people ask me and they like some of my music, luckily sometimes I've had some negative comments too, but some people like my music, and so I want to say, I can only show you some of the methods that I use to make my music and show you different aspects of how I make different aspects of the music, and just give you a general understanding of, again, the software I'm using, the softwares I'm using, the features of the software, and then a bit of the know-how into the creation process. And we're not going to cover so many deep aspects. If you're a professional making professional music, there's so many features and other things that you can do to really clean up your work and make masterful pieces, with real depth and other kinds of effects. And so there's so much stuff I don't know about this software and things, but I can just show you the basics of what I do and how I get the results in what I produce usually. What we're going to mainly do is I won't focus on the vocals much now. I'm not the best singer or rapper, but I do some for fun in my songs sometimes. But we're not going to focus on that as of just yet. I'll focus on some of that later on in the future, as I say, about a few videos later. But we're going to firstly and mostly look at some of the techniques of making the music. Right? So looking at the interface of this FL Studio software and how I personally work my way around in the software to get the instruments, put them in, utilize some VSTs, which is also basically a kind of instrument, and I'll take you through some of that process, how I put the samples in, how I make melodies, just basic melodies, tunes, how I will show you the timing, the space, the time, tempo, speed, the volumes, and a few effects, and how to make a basic beat, rhythm, like with drums and stuff. And when you get a basic understanding of that, which you may already have, then we can talk about getting into different kinds of vibes. We can start that anyway early on, but we can explain more things about different kinds of tempos, sounds, melodies and tunes for different kinds of music and atmosphere. But like I said again, people see art differently and people feel music differently, I guess, the atmosphere and the emotion. But you know, it always has been that way. You know, it's a kind of visual, the sound and the visual and all of that. It's all a connection to your emotion and what you're thinking. But you know what I mean. I mean, most people can tell if the music sounds kind of dark and, you know, dark and atmospheric, like a horror or very sci-fi or very serious. You know, and if something's happy and more uplifting, you can feel it, right? You know what I mean. But that's, as I say, again, based on what we've grown up watching, I think, like on TV and things like that, and or from past experiences, you know, because back in the day, back in the day, you know, there was no digital, or there were no synthesizers back in the day, years and years ago. You know, there were just guitars and flutes and whatever, and you know, if someone was playing a guitar outside the barn or wherever you might have lived in the middle of nowhere, that was your music. You know, someone tapping their hands on tin cans or whatever, you know, or that would be regarded as noise, you know. Someone may whistle a little tune, you know, but nowadays, you know, we've got all this technology and all these different amazing sounds, and you know, it's sad in some ways. Some things evolve, like, you know, filmmaking and music, and things change, but I believe a lot of the main points are still there, and aspects of certain things we can relate to and reflect on, and certain things will always be, and certain things from the past still, you know, are still valid today. Yeah, so I've been rambling, I've been talking to you for nearly 20 minutes, so I guess this is basically just an introduction. I won't show you anything in this particular video, but this is definitely a talk on the topic. In the next video I'll show you some basics, okay? We'll start to get into this. Thanks for watching. Thanks a lot.